This podcast is recorded on the traditional lands of the Kulin Nation. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. We extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening today.
Hello and welcome to Give and Tote Cannabis Conversations, the show that elevates the conversation about cannabis to a higher level. I'm your host, Paul, and today we welcome Camilo Cortissoz and Juan and Bradford, who are the founders of Green Shepherd, an Australian-based cannabis distributor. Hailing from Colombia, Juan and Camilo are committed to returning cannabis to its roots by providing a range of medicinal products lower in THC than many others in the market offer. Instead of aspiring to have the highest THC content, they prefer to focus on the cannabinoid content of the whole plant, offering a viable medical option for those who want to consume less intoxicating cannabis that still offers significant therapeutic value, yet allows for a more active, functional lifestyle. Green Shepherd as a company is dedicated to serving patients with an unwavering commitment to quality, innovation, and cannabis research, and you'll hear all about Camilo and Juan's love for the plant in today's episode. If you enjoy the show, please make sure you're following and subscribing, liking, reviewing, rating, because all of those things help this show reach a bigger audience. And the best thing you can do is tell a friend. But for now, please enjoy my conversation with Camilo and Juan of Green Shepherd. Welcome to the show, Camilo and Juan.
Hello, Paul. Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you both with me today, the founders of Green Shepherd. Now, I understand one or both of you spent some time in Thailand recently. How was that experience?
Yeah, I went on holidays, but just for holidays, but I had a glimpse of what's going on in the industry, what's the relationship with the local, with the tourist, and what kind of products are they selling, what's the public perception. And it was very, very interesting to say the least. It was a bit hectic.
Yeah, very much so. Where did you visit?
I went to Bangkok, I went to Krabi and Raleigh.
It's a pretty wild free-for-all over there at the moment. And, you know, I was lucky to visit last September and experience Koh Samui in Bangkok. And Koh Samui in particular, I think every third store was a cannabis store, which was a little bit overwhelming. And, I mean, you're there a little bit closer to their planned rollback of their regulations. You know, they're wanting to kind of pull things back to medical. What was the sense in Thailand while you were there about the upcoming changes?
My perception was, even with, storefront workers or owners, was they didn't seem to be that bothered by it.
Right.
That was my perception. They said that, yeah, that it's a long way, it's not clear. And yeah, overall, in that sense, I didn't see anything, and maybe like advocating for no, I didn't see anything like that at all. Just business as usual.
It's interesting because I think the horse might have bolted, and it's probably going to be hard to kind of put it all back. So watch this space, because I definitely had an amazing time when I visited there. You know, I'm a strong advocate for medical cannabis, but it is a delight to experience adult use recreational cannabis. So hopefully things stay the same in Thailand, because I think everyone should visit. And, you know, on that note, Camilo, have you had a chance to spend some time in Thailand since they've legalized?
Oh, I love to. I had the chance to be in other legal markets in the world. I'm looking forward to go to Thailand and more after so many pictures that one sent me that they were quite interested, and it blew my mind as some things that I am crazy to go, and I'm looking forward to go. I'm hoping to go soon.
Yeah, no, it's a must-do experience, and I think many people, you know, look for those essential cannabis tourism experiences, and that was a brilliant one that I really enjoyed. So yeah, I hope you get there soon, and I hope they don't pull things back.
You know what's a bit of a shame? They're not promoting their land races.
Yeah, right. Tell me more about that.
So, for example, a very popular strain, the Thai stick, that's been popular.
Yeah,
You
world
get
famous.
Cheech and Chong saying, making jokes about the Thai stick back in the day, right? And that one is and the land races they're hard to get. Like you have to ask for them, and in a lot of shops they don't have them. In another shops, they're over there because And they want the cookies and the cushies and the
I think we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I think they're hamstrung very much by the obsession with high THC that we see all across the world, and we'll dive into that later in our
yeah,
conversation. But it really seems they are appealing to a tourist market more than digging into the existing culture. So, I know when I went there,
absolutely.
I did a cooking class, and it wasn't tapping into the historic use of the flower. It was just putting oils in curries. So, I think people want the authentic experience, and I hope they get there because it definitely is a bit a bit high THC, big stinky dank buds, really expensive per gram. So let's hope things calm down in that department a bit.
And the locals you talk to, yeah, they love their land races. It's a second market, right? Because the prices are ridiculous over there. For tourists, it's more expensive than GMP
Yeah.
certified products in Australia. But the locals have a second market.
That makes sense because when one sent me the photos of the prices of the dispensaries, you're gonna ask if the locals are open to pay that
No
price that
way.
is ridiculous with 1 gram you feed a week of food
Yeah. Yeah, we're
in
talking like
Thailand.
$30, $35 a gram. It's crazy.
Exactly but I've never been there, but once they told me you can eat with $2,
Yeah.
then delicious. Then you say, pues, of course there must be a second market where pues, that kind of flowers for the locals have to exist because pues, the prices are completely focused on tourists.
Yeah, I budgeted about like $80 to $100 a day to make sure that, I could get exactly what I wanted. And that's okay for me on my honeymoon, but that's not sustainable for a local. So yeah, it's a shame to see an industry budding like this, pardon the pun, without the inclusion of the locals. But, let's hope that there is that secondary market where they're getting what they want to.
Well, the hope is in that market, at least for when it comes to land races, I believe, which is quite interesting to explore about Thailand.
Yeah, yeah. They've got this rich history in these original plants, and that's what we should be consuming when we go there. But we'll get more into high THC a little bit later on, but let's explore your background first. So, obviously, Green Shepherd is the present day, but what was the pathway that brought you both to the cannabis industry and I guess, where your lives intersected? So, you're the co-founders now, but how did you get to this point?
Well, my journey was like this. I used to work in Colombia in the film industry, mostly doing advertisement and films. I decided to come to Australia to change everything. To be honest, when I was back in Colombia, I was not a cannabis consumer.
Right.
I used to drink alcohol. I tried many times, but always with alcohol. Being here for things of life, I ended with kind of like a tree in my house that somebody had to get rid of it, and I got a lot of cannabis for free. And it was the first time that I tried cannabis without alcohol. In my house, I say today, it's there, let's try this. And it completely changed my perspective from this plant. As well, I grew up in a really Catholic family where all the misunderstanding and a lack of knowledge and learn of history of the things put a lot of things in boxes. When I tried cannabis, a different door opened to me. I start to get obsessed, start to research, start to grow my own plants, learn about all the process. I decided to go around the world and travel a little bit to Amsterdam, Copenhagen, to Christina, cannabis clubs in Barcelona, Florida, Washington, California, New York. I've been in a few places researching this and getting excited of this. And I remember that one day in Los Angeles, in LA, that I got in the second store that the Mad Men, and I realized that this was not the thing of the guy in a corner selling you whatever he has, and you consume what he has, and that's it. This was something completely different that I got more obsessed, and that's when I say this is possible. And Australia was 2016, and it was possible. And conscient with Juan in the middle of the pandemic, myself with all the research that I have done, that I was doing, and Juan has a different history with cannabis. We say we have the tools to do this. Let's try it. It's been challenging, but fun. If I can say how Green Shepherd started, is because Juan and I were both from Colombia. The first thing was, hey, let's bring cannabis from Colombia. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get there because of the regulations and all the things that are happening. But we are so lucky that we have a lot of good connections in Colombia to be able to do that thing that we want, that is to bring that flower with some specific characteristics. They come from Colombia because it's a specific flower, not not what you can find in the rest of the world. That was my way. I got in love with this plant. It had helped me mentally, physically. I really believe in the plant. I use it because I believe in the plant. I not just only use it as a recreational, I use it as a medicinal. Because it helped me. The day that I tried without alcohol, it changed completely my perspective of the, I think that my whole life completely.
That certainly seems to be a common theme for a lot of my guests who, maybe experiment in their late teens or early 20s as a bit of, an add-on to partying and things like that. But eventually, you phase out the alcohol and you're not getting that kind of bad mix of drugs there that kind of send you a little bit loopy, and you start to see the benefits. So that's a real common thread, no matter where people come from in the world, so many people have that discovery of like, oh, this thing's kind of fun, and then, oh gosh, this can actually help me. So that's really cool that you got there. So Juan, what was your pathway to this point?
Well, I've had a long time relationship with the plant. As Camilo says, obviously, because you want to enjoy it, but beyond that, there's a plethora of things and benefits that this plant provides. Even if you go out the medicinal field for a moment or recreational, you can make biofuel, you make paper. As far as I know, the Declaration of Independence of the United States, it's made with hemp paper. Clothes, textiles, biodiesel. It's a source of protein, the hemp seed. It is a plant that, is so beneficial for human beings in so many ways. This plant is very low on depleting resources and ecosystems when you compare it to our crops that need 3 or 4 times the amount of water. So that's why it has been wrongly named a weed, no? Because it thrives. So it's a great plant. So I've seen that sort of integrality of that plant for a really long time. And yes, I've been a firm believer that this plant provides health benefits, it's fun, and many other things. So I've been always drawn to the plant. I studied law. Eventually, my father is a farmer too. He's a doctor, but a farmer. And he was approached, by these Canadian multinational companies when the boom of the stock exchange in Canada was going, and we want to plant at least 120 hectares. And in my mind, I was like, oh, these guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too much. No, but we want to start with 70.
A lot of jobs lost in that boom. Like, and I had a lot of angry investors come into my store when I was a bud tender and personally blame me for their stocks going down. But they were a bit overexcited, weren't they?
Yeah. Oh, no. And there were a lot of things, obviously very legit people and legit companies and people that wanted to inflate a stock with saying I have these or those assets. I sort of got into that because these companies came, approached us, we had different chats. So I started to learn. And well, being a lawyer, I started investigating all the legal framework in Colombia and all of that. Eventually, we didn't end up doing anything with them. But yeah, during the pandemic, I told Camilo 1 + 1 = 2. You've got this passion for this flower. I have this passion for this flower. We've been friends for a really long time. We have sort of similar goals. Let's do this. Okay, so we need to start a distribution, a company, and a brand. And that's how we started.
That's how we started in the middle of the pandemic. It's been pretty fun, pretty, how I say, challenging, learning every day, everything, understanding the market, understanding people at the market, the consumers. It's been pretty fun.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Well, it seems like, again, common threads that come all across the world is passion seems to drive so many people that enter this industry. I think it seems to be a common trend that you have to have passion, not just to enter the industry, but to survive in it. I think a lot of people enter the industry seeing another commodity that they can perhaps harness, but I think ultimately it's the people that are passionate about it that will survive and that will have the most integrity. And I think that's a great opportunity for us to talk about Green Shepherd. So let's talk about present day. What is Green Shepherd?
Well, what is Green Shepherd? Green Shepherd is a company based in Melbourne, Australia. We focus in the source of products with, of course, quality, how everybody is doing it, but we have something different, and we're focusing in something different from the rest of the people that is playing in this industry. As a consumers, Juan and I, we are people who that consume cannabis of low THC. We smoke something high because we ruin our days. We won't be able to be functional. And with that in mind, we were lucky to start to understand and source for this type of flowers. They are a complete plant, if you can say it. And in that sense, Green Shepherd wants to focus in the market that is, they call it low THC, but the truth is that is not low THC. It's mid-strength THC, between 12 to 17, 18. In that range, trying to find a complete flower, how I already said it, but this means that the percentage of cannabinoids that are inside this plant are more equal, if you can say it, or more balanced, how they say. And this comes because when you start to research and look the history of the plant, and we already know the history that they started to transform this plant, and the 90s became something really high with the idea of approach at the recreational market and forgetting about these benefits that the cannabis can give. And in that sense, we want to try to give a product to the people that really is gonna help them. We want to give something, and I'm not saying that the THC high it won't help. I think that there's a space for everything, from the high doses of medicinal to high doses of recreational, but it's a massive part that is the well-being. And the well-being, a lot of people is looking for it. And we want to do that. We want to find flowers that the people can, not only flowers and products that they are balanced enough, with enough properties to help in the medicinal way, but as well in the well-being, and that your experience is pleasant. Why, that's the reason why this plant became famous in the world, because it was a pleasant experience. This was not something to get a bong and sit in the couch and burn and burn and burn. This became famous because the people was using it for the regular life, to get up, to go to work, to go to do their life. And I think that Juan and I, we agree in the idea that, and plus the cannabis I tried before, even with alcohol in Colombia, it was completely different than the first time that they gave me cannabis here. I say it was a punch in the face. I said, what the fuck? Yeah, it was too much.
Yeah.
Then the idea, knowing that the market is dictating this, and it's not only here, it happened in Canada, it happened in the States, it's happening in Germany, but it's because of the way the market behaves. And if we go and see the other markets, the markets first who get into the market, with the stoners who knows and they are not scared to use this flower. But after that, it will come the people who are not scared to try it, but they are not stoners. Or that people who is gonna get in to say, "Oh, that my neighbor said that she smoked that thing and now she's still sleeping good." And I'm not scared to try it because it's common. It's not point per anybody. That's the message of the Green Shepherd that we want to call it. We want to give it a good experience with the benefits of a whole plant. That's what we want. The benefits of a good experience of a whole plant. We are missing this, that is a plant. This is not creating a lab. This is a plant. And the message is that for us, Green Shepherd is that company who wants to try to go back a little bit and bring that thing that, let's say, our grandfathers or our fathers start to smoke and make this plant, the devil plant.
Yeah. Well, that's the reputation, isn't it? Yeah, the devil's lettuce. Yeah. Well, I think that's really honorable. And you know, how I connect with that is the best thing that has ever been able to help me sleep in cannabis flower form is 18% THC debubber. So as much as I try and chase the dragon of, 28% quote unquote indicas and things like that, nothing has ever really worked as well as that did because it was about everything that was in that plant, not just the THC. So I really appreciate that that's the vision. Why is it that you think people have become so obsessed with THC percentage though?
Well, I don't know if you're aware, Paul, that in the 60s, the THC levels didn't even surpass, from what I've read, more than 5%.
Yeah.
In the 90s, THC levels started increasing. I guess, as with anything, we as humans explore and tend to maybe make some mistakes along the way too. But yeah, like take, for example, alcohol. Yeah. A very similar thing happened with alcohol and trying to increase the percentages, and you've got absinthe nowadays. So I think that's actually a hard question, but I guess as well in the black markets, that means more profitability. So giving more, higher THC equals selling more, perhaps.
Yeah. Bang for your buck seems to be a big thing in Canada. Like if it's 28% THC for $35 versus 22 for $30, someone's going to go, I'll just pay $5 more and get something stronger because that'll be better.
Unfortunately, people haven't really understood that even whatever your purposes are, get some medicinal ailment or get fucked.
Yeah.
Whatever your
Each
purpose
to their own,
is,
yeah.
THC isn't necessarily the determining factor. And you've got all of these components, the cannabinoids, the terpenes, the flavonoids, all these little things that play a really, really big part in what you are going to experience, which is it's very fascinating in cannabis, how terpenes and terpene theory and cannabinoid theory, because it's probably in one of the few places where they have such a strong, I guess, effect on the brain. Obviously you got lemons, fruits, veggies, the plants, they all have terpenes, but the terpenes don't play that insanely significant effect that they do on cannabinoids. And the more people think about THC, the more we leave out that part that is probably really the key to a proper cannabis use, doing more and more extensive research on the entourage effect, on the combination of these cannabinoids, how do they interact between them, and how your endocannabinoid system synthesizes that. And the search for THC has basically blinded all this other part that is extremely important in understanding of cannabis and making a better use of it.
Yeah. Camilo, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that you say, guys, one is the factor of that you think if my money has more value if it's higher the THC. And the second one is the misunderstanding of the plant. We unfortunately, because of the prohibition for so many years, we don't understand what is this plant. And the people who have been growing or managing this plant in the black market for many years, they push this to make it as a drug, if you can call it, to put it as high as you can to, yeah, with the purpose of recreation. Talking about that, we go to a point that one of our challenges has been the way how we are able to communicate that we have a flower that is 13%. And I can tell you that as soon as I say my flower has 13% in the cannabis, here, somebody straight away jump to me and say, there's no market for that here.
Yeah. I'm sure the dickheads on Reddit have a lot to say about that too.
Of course, there's no market here for that. What are you doing? It's okay. Well done. That's what you think. We have understand is something different. And that misunderstanding has created people who really want to get a benefit of this plant go and believe because they don't know anything to somebody who go and gives them a 25% to sleep. And when they go to bed, they have the heart racing and they have to turn to the wife to say, I need to go to the hospital. Those are the stories that they tell us, and we say, "Oh my God, that sucks." And you ask them, "Are you gonna buy cannabis again?" No, of course not. Then is that misunderstanding, and because the people who is leading this market, the consumers who are leading this market, those are people who can handle heavy things, and it's okay for them. It's great for them. It's great that they can have a source where they know that the product that they're consuming are clean, safe. If they want to get a stone or do whatever they want with them, is the problem. That's their life. But there's another part of the society who cannot handle that. And it would be ideal that we understand that to let more people play in the market, because in that way, just the cake is going to be bigger for everybody. Because at the end, yeah, we want to do something good, but we all want to eat and we all want to make a living from this. Then if we understand that thing that cannabis doesn't have to be that thing of the top and something that is going to lock you in the couch, or that it is not really high, it's not going to help for my pain, and we focusing to understand this whole plan, we will see that the trend will change. And you see it in other markets. You are already seeing it in Canada. You see people who specialize in themselves just in low THC. In the States, there's as well people specialize in low THC, bringing again the CBD flowers to the market because they realize that the CBD is something good. It's a process of the industry, I guess, that we have seen it in other markets. It will happen here. Let's hope is that we understand that there's a benefit in low or medium strength THC for a lot of people. It's for a lot of people. It will be bigger than people who would get the benefit of this type of percentage than the people who are getting the 28%.
That really resonates with me because there are far too many people who, unfortunately, their first cannabis experience is incredibly negative, or their first few, and then that turns them right off it. You do need things that are lighter on impact and lower so you can function, because I think a lot of people underestimate how much cannabis can improve your day-to-day. I think a lot of people think about slothing around, being a stoner, sitting on the couch, eating too much. But, we are proving that there's much more to that, to consuming for therapeutic benefits. It can restore balance. It can uplift you. It can add something to your life. So I'm really glad that there's folks like you out there who care about this, because the conversation in the industry is bang for your buck, higher potency and things like that, whilst underestimating the entire cannabinoid profile. So given how much you guys care about these flowers and, care about this specific type of product, how do you go about sourcing your flowers so it meets that vision of, the lower impact THC, higher cannabinoid content?
Well, actually, it's a bit difficult because obviously as well, growers and suppliers are always meeting market demand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you talk to a grower and they send you their brochure, it starts on like 24, 25%. So it takes a little bit of curation to find, the right fit. For example, with the Queen Nandi, we obviously take into account as much as we can, and we know about the terpene profile, total terpene content. Are there other cannabinoids? How is it grown? For example, yeah, the Queen Nandi's uses natural sunlight. It's grown in a greenhouse, and it's sort of as close as possible to what this product is intended to be. I guess that's the way we source it, to be as close as possible at what this product is intended to be, not how humans have manipulated it. Obviously, in saying that, yeah, I understand that in 2000 or 3000 years of cannabis history, there's a lot of manipulation. But from the 1990s to now, it's been exponentially bigger than from 0 AD to the 1990s. Yeah. So when finding the flower as it was intended to be, and we take into consideration, what are the most dominant terpenes and what other cannabinoids can interact with the THC. To be absolutely honest with you, we always want our products to look as beautiful as possible, but that is not our first consideration. It's product quality. And for example, that's exactly the feedback we've been getting with the Queen Nandi. Like if you look at it, it looks really pretty, but I can understand why some people may not like the appearance 100% because it's not like a Disney, McDonald's perfect,
Yeah, yeah.
not like our flowers. But everybody 100% seems to love the effect and the benefits it provides and how smooth it is, how pleasant it is to use it. So that I think we hit the jackpot on that one. Even as if Camilo was mentioning, it can be a harder sell at this stage of the market, but it's exactly the product we're looking for. As close as we can to what nature intended with making this plant and with giving us an endocannabinoid system.
Lovely. Camilo, was there something you were going to add to that?
Yeah, I think that one define what we want, that is try to, how I was saying before, go back to that flower that when it became famous and it was giving other benefits, not just getting a stone.
Well, before I sat down to speak to you guys today, I consumed CBD flower, and it really, makes me think. When I look at that, it's not visually appealing, it's not aesthetically beautiful, but it did exactly what I needed it to do, and that was kind of restore some balance, get me ready. Like I didn't want to be stoned for this or be impaired for this, but I wanted to have a sense of calm, and that really got me ready. And I think, we're fighting the hordes of people on Reddit that are showing off their purple crystally bud when, it might look incredible, it might even smell incredible, but, might burn black or not really do much for you, when there are these other things that, they might not look pretty, but they do exactly what you need.
And there's a few
Correct.
flowers like that. Somebody was telling us from South Africa that there's a beautiful flower, a land race from South Africa, but when they're gonna offer it, nobody likes it. But when they try, they love it. Then what they decide, they grind it and sell it grinded because, or the people don't complain to, I cannot take the photo for Instagram.
Yeah, that's it. Well, mentioning CBD, I know that Australia has some really strange rules around CBD. A couple of years ago, the TGA technically legalized it for over-the-counter purchase, but no one has been approved to manufacture it. So, people constantly ask me about these CBD companies that pop up on Instagram and things like that are definitely not legit. What's the state of CBD in Australia?
I think Australia is in the past when it comes to CBD because you've got a cannabinoid that is non-psychoactive, that our legislations have been treating it for years, sort of as a nutritional well-being product. And straight away, CBD can help, just out of the top of my head, with so many cases of chronic pain in Australia, for example, for elderly people that, struggle with their knees every day or things like that, that they're taking these painkillers, paracetamol or ibuprofen, that are hard on the stomach and the liver, whilst they perfectly could be ingesting CBD and getting a more powerful benefit. But this sort of excessive hyperregulation, because it's cannabis, yeah, sort of in the same sack. Recently, yeah, they downgraded to Schedule 4 and they're to Schedule 3 now, but with what you're saying about the clinical trials. So, yeah, definitely I see much, much, much room to go. And it's a bit strange that everybody seems in this industry, is my perception, most people seem very fixated on THC, and nobody even like for example industry advocacy. I There should be much more industry advocacy toward normalizing CBD a bit
Yes.
more.
Yeah. One of my prescriptions is actually a balanced THC and CBD product. And when it is out of stock, there is no like product for it to be replaced with. So there is, mechanisms for pharmacists to replace things. But one of my essential daytime products is not available. There's no other replacement because of the specificity with the levels. So, there is really a shortage of these products even in the regulated market. So, people are desperate to get these over the counter because, the roadblocks can be less, because I do go without quite often because of how specific that level is.
And what you're saying is exactly the reason why all these Instagram CBD businesses started to pop up, because people are requesting it. uh, the demand in the market is there, but there is no legal supply, or there are too many hurdles. Like, put THC aside, because THC is another question. Just take CBD alone. There's too many hurdles to get CBD, and especially, yeah, go anywhere in the world pretty much.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
you're
at least
finding it
in the
even
Western world.
even Tokyo has CBD stores. So, like there, and THC is a big no-no in a lot of parts of Asia. So if even places like that are willing to tiptoe into this and have these stores available, surely we can be, we don't even need to be leaders in Australia. We just need to participate.
Look
Yes.
that I had the opportunity to see the CBD market in Florida. When you walk the streets, there are CBD shops in every block. They are everywhere. In those CBD shops, you get in and you find from a cream to the oil, from a shampoo to a cookie for the dog, from coffee infused with CBD
Oh, I
to
tried one that was delicious.
a soda. You can even see yoga studios where the people get in, consume first the CBD. They decide the way how they want to consume it, if they want to eat it, if they want to rub it, if they want to smoke it, vape it, and then they do the class of yoga. We already know that this is a substance that no make the people impaired, and we can see how even in places like France, the sport industry is using CBD in high doses because it's really good or recover the bodies after a high performance. It would be great if Australia take the morality on one side and we start to talk about science and they really can do this to benefit the society and stop that morality that is stopping the society to go forward and to find a help for people who is needing it without making it impaired or without making it with the psychoactive substances. And you see it in the market. You go in the States and you walk and you can get into a 7-Eleven and get a little pen that has a minimum dosage just to release yourself a little bit. Here, how I say to my friends, don't carry a CBD oil because you can get in jail, then be careful.
Yeah. And we are secretly very conservative here in Australia, and I think we have this worldwide reputation of being easygoing and laid back, which is complete bullshit. We actually just have really strict regulations and really conservative people making a lot of the decisions for us. So it's good to have this conversation, and I think something the listeners need to realize. These clinical trials are testing if people are sleeping or improving pain on 10 milligram doses. Now, I've got a lot of experience with CBD in an adult use market. I need a minimum of 30 milligrams for anxiety relief, and I need about 80 milligrams for any kind of sleep benefit. So these numbers are just not going to work. So they're like, oh gosh, these clinical trials aren't working, so CBD doesn't work. They're the wrong levels.
Yeah, and also there's already literature in the medical world, peer-reviewed research for more than 10 years that shows how good CBD is for things like pain and anxiety.
Look,
I
I
mean,
think even that the flower of CBD be a help for the people to stop smoking tobacco.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
We are
100%.
finding the relief of the nicotine is for something. CBD could help it. And when you go to stores in the States, smoke shops, you find the flower there. It's there. They sell it like a CBD flower there because they realize that there's a market of people who want that, who need that. The CBD vapes are one of the biggest sellers in the whole state. It is one of the biggest sellers, just CBD. But when I ask the people here to bring a CBD vape, they look at me and say, there's no market for that here.
That sounds like that's all you guys hear. So thank you for fighting against that.
The industry will mature in, let's hope, getting the good examples of other markets and applying those examples in a way here. We have the opportunity to don't make the mistakes that other ones made it. The idea is not to open a market and what happened like in Thailand, that there's a shop every corner and you don't know what you're smoking. But the idea is not to put it that the people cannot afford something so beneficial and good for you that you cannot afford it because you have to pay a doctor, you have to pay a 30 mil oil that it costs you $150, and it should be more affordable for the people. And I guess that to make it more affordable, that has to be regulated with the way how that, but it has to be open to sell, give the education that is needed. And I don't know what is if you go and see the Chinese medicine, those people have some things that you don't know what are you having. And they don't come here to fight. We have the research and the knowledge of a substance, and we are still scared of saying that we cannot use it. Yeah, we'll see what happens when you go and see the other markets like the States, Canada, the same Colombia, Europe has a massive market of CBD where you can find it in every corners as well. The new kind of business that you create with that substance, like the yoga, the drinks, the shampoos, the soaps, the vitamins. There's so many things that you can do, but we are still like, yeah, a little bit far from that.
Well, I love that you guys are brave enough to take on something that has constantly said, there's no industry for it, because you guys are proving that there is, and that you're fighting against these bad ideas. I often found as an Australian in Canada, people would get a little bit caught up on my criticisms of the Canadian institutions, but it's like, no, I'm not saying that because I don't like Canada. I'm saying we could be doing better. Canada's leading the way. Let's do better. Same here with Australia. Anyone who's got feedback for how we could be doing things better needs to be taken seriously. So I'm glad that, you guys have come from elsewhere with different perspectives and said, hey, this could be different. This could be better.
and also just to add from what you guys are saying, obviously, there are some people that as Camilo said, believe that there's no market or it's not an interesting product or whatever. But there's also people that, learn what we're doing, or we have a brief chat with them and they get so excited. For example, we just received a message from a very famous doctor in cannabis saying, fuck yeah, it's awesome that you guys have a low THC strain. So obviously our message definitely resonates. And when we hear patient feedback. We also have we made out some case studies recently for PTSD, arthritis, anxiety, but also we hear like the general patient feedback, and they just really like the experience. So even though there's a lot of resistance, is my point, there's still a lot of acceptance or willingness to accept, which is really exciting too.
I think that there's a market for everything. Like there will be a market for that people of high THC. I guess that Green Shepherd, what it's doing is just to give it another option for other market that is there and they haven't been able to get into the industry because there are no other options for them. We are not, it's a, is to open the market, is to give more options for somebody. When you go to a bar, they sell you from no alcohol drinks to absinthe. Then it's your choice. What do you want that night? Get fucked? Want to go back, relax to your house? It's your choice. And it's exactly the same. When you just focus in one part of the market, because you are letting out, you're not letting play a lot of people who cannot who prefer wine than beer. Then that bar don't say beer, they just sell beer. Then I don't go because I like wine. Is that? Is give it options like yeah, and you see it in every brand. That's why there are different types of sodas, different type of gummies, different type of shampoos, different types. There's a market for everybody and options for everybody. And we realized that nobody was looking that market as a personal use. We like easy cannabis that can let us go all day. There's people who would like that, and we, how Juan said, there's a lot of people, especially girls, and they have to say it, that when they try the Queen Nandy, they say, "Oh shit, that thing is good."
Well, my wife had her own regime of cannabis products when we lived in Canada that were almost entirely CBD. You know, topicals, vapes, edibles. Those are three things that she's not getting, in the same form on the medical market. So she hasn't pursued that. So she found something that worked for her, really enjoyed it. But coming back home, that array doesn't exist. So therefore, she's avoided it. And so there's people, who are missing out on opportunities for wellness and well-being because this segment of the market is so often, criticized or denied.
Exactly. It's exactly that we did with the market, and we decide, hey, let's go that way. That is what we like. How I say when they ask me what is one of the purpose of the Green Shepherd, and I say you don't have to pay for weed again. When I bring weed that I cannot consume, but I'm not doing my first purpose. That is, I need to bring things that I can consume, that I like it, and I'm not going. I cannot have one of some 28 because if we hit me, yeah, I would lose half of the day, and I can handle a high cannabis. But I prefer to be chill because I don't want to put another weight in my life. My idea is to release the weight that I already have to be able to do my day by day. That
And also, for example, in one of the case studies I was mentioning, Paul, one of the patients is a veteran with PTSD, and he was wary during the case study. He was wary of the Queen Nandy at first because he used to be a self-medicate or a recreational user, and he said that's not gonna be strong enough for me. Yeah. Well, at the end of the case study, he was absolutely, satisfied, exceeded my expectations, really helped me with managing, and even seasoned smokers, to put it that way, yeah, they think that the quinine is good for daytime or early evening use. So as well, I think it is sensible and good to provide this sort of education in the sense that, hey, there are other options. Even if you're a seasoned smoker or seasoned user of cannabis, you cannot afford to just go high, 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 high all the time. So even there are instances when somebody's a seasoned smoker but needs something a bit more relaxed, you know. whatever the reason, meeting their in-laws, I don't know.
Yeah, you might need something a little stronger for that.
I think, but and what Camilo was saying before, and the sum of why Green Shepherd is because we want to provide people with an option that we as seasoned consumers of cannabis know is a great option for providing benefits and at the same time being a pleasant experience that you want to experience again rather than, oh, no, I got this too strong. I thought about this horrible. No.
Well, it's honorable work that you guys are doing, and I'm really appreciative of the time you've taken to share the kind of Green Shepherd story and vision. I think it's a space that people should really keep an eye on, because I think as people become a little bit more conscious of what they want from their cannabis, they'll realize there's more to life than high THC. So I'd like to pivot now to your homeland of Colombia. I think through pop culture, a lot of people are familiar with Colombia through a Hollywood lens, So what's the history of Colombian cannabis? How was this plant used historically, and how is it used today?
Oh, well, that's a great question. Everybody knows the history of Colombian cocaine, but not many people know the history of Colombian cannabis. Cannabis has been growing in Colombia for a really, really long time by the native indigenous in the Cauca region of Colombia. That's where sort of the natives and everybody and those communities started growing a long time ago. We got really, really good land races. But just the point that I wanted to say before Camilo jumps in is that before there was all this thing about exportation of cocaine from Colombia, Colombia was a hub for cannabis and it had really high demand from North America in the 60s and 70s.
I hear, to complement what Juan says, I hear a really nice story. The hemp or cáñamo arrived in South America through the Spanish colony, and for many years was grown as a hemp. And they say that in the late 30s, 40s, so yeah, in the beginnings of 40s, when there were the banana, there was a massive banana boom in Colombia, where there are good and bad stories. And some of the people who used to work in those banana companies were from the States. And they say that these people, in some time, they got some seeds from Hawaii. And when they start to grow it in the region of Magdalena, they found this hemp and they start to cross it. And that's the moment when it appeared the Santa Marta gold. That is the same Acapulco gold in the top in Acapulco, Mexico. And they are pure sativas. And the tropical weather creates this type of specific sativas. And how Juan was saying, when that started to happen between the 60s and 70s in Colombia, in that region happened something that is la bonanza marimbera, that is the exportation of cannabis to the States in massive quantities. And that is the story of, if somebody has seen Narcos Mexico, when these guys come in the middle of the 70s and they go to areas, how Juan was saying, in the Cauca, and they get the natives, they throw seeds, they start to grow. And that's after that, in the 80s, the cannabis is completely forgotten and the cocaine starts. But the interesting thing of this history is that the people continue, like those natives in areas where normal areas, like the La Sierra Nevada, they continue growing this cannabis plant and use it as a medical purpose in their communities. Even they say, these are the stories that are difficult to prove, but they say that these communities have been exporting oil to monasteries in Switzerland for many years. And now in that region, there's some people that with technology has created an amazing things. Yeah, an amazing things. There's some things that you go there and you say, oh my God, what is that? What your flowers mixed with Colombian flowers? They have done the good job. What is the state of the cannabis in Colombia? In this moment, the recreational use is still legal. CBD is legal. Colombia, I guess that means an opportunity because of all the bureaucracy that has my country to get in and be a bigger player in the cannabis market. Unfortunately, they gave, I don't know, all those licenses for growers and exporters are gone. In this moment, there are like 6, 7 companies, no more, that really can produce to export outside of, because of the regulations of the rest of the countries, to are able to export, and they have the financial, they have the money to be able to that. But you can still find many people who is hanging there and holding to wait and see if the market in Colombia is open. And you can find beautiful things from different altitudes. Then you find different cannabis with different altitudes, with different sound. It has a lot of potential. It's kind of, Colombia is kind of a greenhouse with 12 hours a day, all the year round. Our idea has been always to be able to get those plants from little consumers and unique things from Colombia, to put it not only in the Australian market, but to show it in many places that we can, if it's possible. Hoping that the market open there, you can find from cream, shampoo, the same. You start to find cream, shampoos, coffee, drinks. I have drink energy drinks, cannabis, beer, a lot of things that if you regulate, it's a new industry. Is that with cannabis will, in the future, I guess, to be kind of a commodity that you're gonna do whatever you do with this plant and transformer to create new products.
So medical cannabis is legal and hemp production is legal. Like, are you hoping, like, are there any signs that they're moving towards adult use, or is it still very restricted?
Well, there's been some attempts in Congress recently, two almost consecutively, and both of them were unsuccessful. The reality is that, the private sector, from big industry corporations to a small grower, have been ready for a really, really long time. But the regulations of the government, and like the amount of cannabis that has been burnt in
No,
Colombia
I could have smoked that.
because they produce it but cannot sell it to anybody. The permits didn't come through. They were waiting for a new law, I mean, whatever, and they have to burn kilos and kilos and kilos.
And
Uh,
Colombia has something pretty interesting, look, because it's
yeah.
illegal, the recreational use, but you as a person, you are allowed to have 20 plants.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
20 plants?
Yeah,
You're a good grower, you can make a good
I'd love
crop.
to be allowed to have 4, but 20 is amazing.
Yeah, it's a very kind of hypocritical thing, right? Where, as Camilo says, only medical, and they I don't think they allow flower yet for medical,
I gotta
but
make sure.
yeah, you're allowed to grow 20 up to 20 plants at one time.
Doesn't quite add up, does it?
So that as
No,
well has led way for what Camilo is saying about this sort of gray market products, energy drinks and food and things like that. And that's how as well how they have survived throughout this whole hyper regulation of things, is by this sort of side products, shampoos, creams, drinks with CBD. This is how they have stayed afloat. But yeah, regulation has been really, really slow, unfortunately.
Do you see them getting it right anytime soon, or is it going to continue to be a frustrating battle? Like, I mean, all cannabis work seems to be a frustrating battle eternally, but at least sometimes you have successes and wins. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel, or is it looking like it's going to continue to just be this, semi-decriminalized for personal grow, but medical only type thing?
I don't know, because how Juan was saying, the last times that they tried to pass a bill, the first one, it went to the seven, I think, debate, and in that one died. The second one that they put in the second debate was that. Yeah.
Yeah, and all this sort of ridiculous stunts, like a guy dressed as a homeless, I smoke cannabis in the middle of the Senate.
Oh
You
no.
see, that is the you. Everybody's gonna become like this guy. Ridiculous kind of stance, and very religious and conservative approach. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? I think there is, because it doesn't take a neuroscientist to see, for example, from a point of, commercial and international commerce and everything, the example of Canada, that is kind of close to us, and the amount of wealth the country has amassed due to just being normalizing exports and things like that. So eventually there'll come, some leadership, hopefully with enough. There's a lot of the leadership that understands it, but there's a lot of the leadership
I
that
think
doesn't.
that is something about generation. And it not only happen in Colombia, I guess that it happened here and everywhere in the world. There's some people for many generations got a message of the plan that is at them. And unfortunately, the people who have grown this plant has pushed this flower for that concept to make it stronger and harder, and that reinforced the message that many generations see. We talk from the day that Nixon gave his maximum speech, then we're talking about 50 years with a speech and a message that some generations is going to be too difficult to erase from their heads. Then I think that the progress, and this is something that philosophers say, comes with one funeral at a time of generations. And we see it in everything. We see it in every aspect, from the abortions to be equal. It's the educations and the new people who are pushing those ideas because for them are more normal. For the older ones is, oh my God, this is the demon and you're gonna go to I don't know where. Then it's a process of education and it will happen in the whole world. And I guess that it will happen with all the substance in the future. Yesterday, I was looking some products from Colombia of coca leaves, and there are pills that you eat to get energized. But it's a pill, and it comes from a pure source that is coca leaf. Or they do rapé, that is people blow in their nose, and that's something really from the Aboriginals of Colombia that mix a tobacco with mint and do a specific thing to blow your nose and clean your thing. And now the people is selling it in the market. Why? Because there's people who are not afraid of this. But when you see who is these people, who are these people? Because are they new generations that they are not scared, or that they have more knowledge, or they can use better internet and they can understand more and research more what is happening, and not just to follow what they have said to them for 50 years or 60 years and believe just in that. That would be the process of all the substance in the world, I guess. It happened with the alcohol. We saw it with the alcohol, with the prohibition, and when the people accepted, the new generation say, fuck yeah, let's get fucked with that.
Well, the baby boomers have ruined our ability to buy homes. They have held us back from cannabis legalization. There's all sorts of progressive causes, but they will die one day and we'll get what we want. So
you have to be patient.
Well, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure to spend some time with you, and we are getting towards the end of the show. I would like to play a little game with you guys as we head towards the end. I'm going to quiz you both to test your knowledge about your homeland for the sake of fun, and so the listener and I can learn a little bit about Colombia. So there are 6 questions. You'll get 3 each, and they're each worth 1 point. Does that sound all right?
Okay.
Excellent. All right, so Camilo, the first one is for you. Question 1. Colombia produces 60% of the world's supply of what precious stone? Is it topaz, emerald,
I know
or
that
garnet?
Yeah, I know that one, Esmeralda, straight away.
Yeah. Probably I'm not going to know this one.
Wow, you're off to a flying start with 1 point. It is indeed emerald. All right, Juan, this one is for you. And guys, forgive my terrible Spanish on some of these words.
That's okay.
Juan, what is the national bird of Colombia? Is it the crested quetzal, the keel-billed toucan, or the Andean condor?
The condor, for
Yeah,
sure. It's in our emblem.
That's right. That's right. I knew some of these would be softballs, but we're all learning.
Yeah, but it's a long time since I
it's in the
studied
flag,
the.
man, it's in the flag.
All right, Camilo, the next one is for you. Colombia is recognized as the second most biodiverse country in the world, home to 1/10 of every species in the entire world of animals. Which country is number one? Is it Vietnam, Canada, or Brazil?
Vietnam.
Can I?
Incorrect.
Brazil?
It is your South American brother, Brazil. I'm sorry. All right, Juan, over to you. Question 4. Famous Colombian actress Sofia Vergara was born in which town? Barranquilla?
Yes,
Medellin?
Barranquilla.
Ah,
Yes.
that is correct. I didn't even need to give you the options. You already knew.
Well, Sofia Vergara, it's a
Well,
very
no.
important part of our country.
Yeah. All right, Camilo, back to you. Question 5. What year did Colombia first qualify for the Soccer World Cup, or Football World Cup, if we're speaking correctly? Was it 1998, 1992, or 1962?
Whoosh. I think that is 1992. To the World Cup of 94. No, it's
Sorry,
65.
way back to 1962, unfortunately. Don't worry, Camilo, because at the end, I've got a question worth 5 points potentially, so there's still a chance for you to come back here.
If my brother hears that I answered that question wrong, he would get really angry.
Disowned from the family.
Kind of.
Okay, Juan. Colombia's second largest city is Medellin. What is the nickname of this city? The City of Eternal Spring? The Lost
City of Eternal Spring.
You knew it as soon as you hit it. All right, so right now it is 3-1. Juan is up. Camilo, you've got 1 point. However, I'm going to give you one final question, which could take the lead. So this is a who am I? Each line is worth like descending points. So the first line is worth 5 points, next one's 4, and so on. So where you get it right will determine the amount of points you get. Okay, so worth 5 points. I was born on the 2nd of February 1977. Next hint, worth 4 points. Born in Colombia, I am of Spanish and Lebanese descent.
Shakira.
Oh! You got it, Juan. All right, well, Juan, you end up romping at home with 6 points. Camilo, you've only got 1. I'm sorry, guys. Juan, congratulations.
Shakira, I didn't get that one, bro.
Yeah, Shakira Mebarak.
Colombian royalty there.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, I just know about celebrities, Paul. That's the problem.
People say it's useless information, but hey, it won you this meaningless quiz on this podcast.
Exactly.
Oh, gentlemen, unfortunately, we have come to the end of our time together. However, we do like to end the show with a segment called Polls of Wisdom. Though we love the long-form conversation, we now try and leave the listener with one key takeaway, maybe a dinner party fact or a call to action. So I'll leave it to you guys separately. Juan, do you have a poll of wisdom?
Well, I guess I would say knowledge is power to the listener. Learn about cannabis. Educate yourself. It is my belief, and I might be wrong, most people do not need higher THC. You'd be better off giving a go to moderate strains and analyze your experience. Even that's what the medical field suggests, no? With the titration method, start low, go slow. Educate yourself. Understand terpenes, understand cannabinoids, understand the purpose of this plant, understand what were the levels 30 years ago, and they were strong enough to do a peace and a sexual revolution. So, I think that's that's good enough. So educate yourself, I would say, in just a small phrase.
Love it. Camilo, how about you?
I think that I go with what Green Shepherd wants to do. That is, let's bring that old plant again back. This option for everybody, but the same way that we're looking organic tomatoes, let's go back and let's find something that is not going to harm us. Let's find something that is going to do good for us. Let's get back that flower that it was so famous to create a sex and peace revolution.
Thank you both so much for your time today. What's the best way for our listeners to learn more about Green Shepherd? Now, I think they've learnt a hell of a lot today, which is really important. But if they were wanting to perhaps get in touch with you, learn your brand story a little bit more, how would they find out?
They can visit our website, greenshepherd.com.au. Green Shepherd, so it's a SHEPHERD, greenshepherd.com.au. I guess, yeah, if anybody wants to reach out, send us an email, contact us through the website, and we're more than happy, to have this type of chats with people that are interested and that can also as well give us a bit of knowledge and a bit of feedback. So any person, yeah, feel free to reach out on our website.
Well, Juan, Camilo, gracias por unirte a nosotros. Hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Can I just say one thing, Paul? Thank you for asking those questions from Colombia. Thank you for researching them.
It was an absolute pleasure to get to know the country a lot better, because I think most people know Pablo Escobar, Sofia Vergara, and Shakira. There's a little bit more to the country than that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Gentlemen,
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Give and Toke Cannabis Conversations is written and produced by me, Paul. Music written and produced by Big Mike. Follow us on Instagram at Give and Toke, or get in touch by emailing giveandtoke@gmail.com. All opinions expressed by program guests are solely their current opinions and do not necessarily reflect the position of Give and Toke. Content discussed in this show does not constitute medical advice. Cannabis is not legal everywhere, so please be aware of local laws.